So we went through these. This was fun. And we got to here, really. Yeah. Okay, so I'll show you a few more things that came out of these blogs. So once again, these are blog posts, and it comes from wefeelfine.org, which is Sep Kamvar and Jonathan Harris. And these are all these sentences that have I feel or I am feeling, some conjugation, and there should be an I in it. It's a little bit messy. So self-report studies over the years have showed little variation with age. The presumption was that you'd see people would get happier and then less happy as they get older, right? That was sort of what people had talked about, I suppose. So we've talked about the money doesn't buy happiness thing. That's okay, we don't have to worry about that. So this is comparing, I don't have a plot. Oh yeah, no, I jumped past it. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Let me just see, that's in the wrong spot. Yeah, this one is here. So this is from blogs. People put up their ages on some of these, or asserted what their ages were. And so these are binned in slightly interesting ways because we have more people, we have less people out here. So these are 13 and 14-year-olds looped together. And so these are, if you read through their blogs, and of course you don't read them, you just do our crazy thing, then you see this trend, right? So there's this is the middle of your life, this is actually pretty high. And so self-report tends to be, if anything, more of a U-shape, right? I said it didn't vary too much, but it's more of a U-shape, right? Like things aren't great when you have kids and jobs and stuff like that. But this is looking at it from a different perspective. This is looking at what people express, right, in this particular forum. So of course we can interrogate this a little bit with word shifts. I apologize, that's in the wrong spot. I'll fix that up. So this is comparing people in a particular sort of, I guess it's just one decade, but say 50 to 60, 45 to 55 it would have been at the time, I think, to the 14-year-old group, which is lower, and that's a decent tick down, right? It's about a third of a way down, like a third of a star, you could imagine on an Amazon thing. And so here are these 4 types of words, right? So it's more negative because of these ones in blue that are being used more, right? So hurt, confused, terrible, scared, dead, fat, upset. These are middle school kids. Now, of course, we wouldn't ever do an experiment here, but this is found data. So sick is one of these words that's quite ambivalent, right? So that one you'd think, we can just switch that one off. We'll say, let's not use that because we really feel like this is not being used right. And if you do that, it's not going to change the shape of the thing, right? Maybe I said this, but for Moby Dick, for example, cried and crying is used a lot, but it actually just means yelling. And coffin is used a lot as well, but that's a Nantucket last name. So you switch those ones off because you know something about it. But then these others are pretty convincing, right? There's a sort of a spectrum here. There are a few other words that they use less. So life, for example, is being used less. And then there are some things that are going the other way. So they talk less about time. I mean, you can get carried away about the details here, but more about people, friend, fun. So there are a few positive things there. But generally, middle school is not fun. Is what the great scientists discovered. What's that?
It's funny that almost all of the influence in this one are things we use more.
Yeah, so right. So that's a great point, right? So this elaborates in various ways exactly the thing. So this is the total contribution for the negative words being used more, right? So these are the ones that have that sort of the strongest kind of feel to them. These are just straight up negative words being used more, so it's fair enough. These are positive words being used more, and that, it's more obvious. And then these are these sort of muted things, which feels less potent sort of as a story. But these ones you read off. So you're right. So when you look at this, you see, what's going on, and it really is that negative words are being used more. Because this is counting up, right? These are 25 words, and then there are 1,000 total.
Also, just like the part of the distribution is higher for the middle school kids.
Oh, yeah, okay. So, low entropy. Low entropy. So that would be a good piece to play with as well, right? What's the variability in the actual dialogue?
Also bias the same for confirmation.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So you get these issues like this, yeah.
Yeah, so I was going to ask, do you ever see demographic data
Demographic data on the...
on the bloggers?
Well, so this is from these blogs. This is from this website at the time. And so they scrape what they could. So they have gender and age in some case. So it's a subset of all... So bloggers are a subset of humans. We really have in a paper somewhere that tweets are a subset of all utterances made by all humans, just because, like, right? And this has its own problems. But so it's a subset of bloggers, and then it's a subset of people who declare any demographics, or such as scrapable. So it's even weird. So it's people who want to tell you they're 15 or something, which is also... Or they put their age up, right? So that's a subset of people as well. Yeah, it's not random digit dialing.
Are they talking about the consolidation of words if I say I'm not happy with this?
Yeah. So we throw away context here, and that's a big issue, absolutely. And we'll get to this later on a little bit. Because we're doing this in this big temperature way, it tends to run over those things fairly well. It's somewhat surprising, and the proof is usually in whether it makes sense at this level. Moving to phrases is hard. Talked about it a little bit. It's an expensive thing to do. If we could do it well, it would be fantastic. Not, people use not, like I am not happy quite a bit, or not whatever, so that there would be definitely some potency in that. But you'll see on some of these things, you'll see not and never and didn't. You'll see the negatives appearing even in isolation, and that's helpful. But you're right. So, and it's a really hard thing to get to phrases, and I'll show you potentially how we've done that in some ways. But it's really amazing that most people it's just hard to do. So we still generally just chop words up, chop text up into words in, particularly in English. But like say New York City, every time that appears, there's one more New, there's one more York, and one more city. Just smash them apart. This is ridiculous.